Installing PHP on IIS 7. Now when we installed our IIS role on this server, we also installed the CGI role service, which is a prerequisite for running PHP. But if you don't have it installed and you've already installed IIS, in our server manager, we'll come up to the top and we'll choose roles. And then over on the right, we're going to scroll down. And what we're looking for here is CGI. And if that's not installed, you'll need to scroll up a little and install it by clicking on Add Role Services. Alright, well I'll assume that now you've done that, so let's move on and install PHP. Now on my desktop over here on the left, I've already downloaded the latest version of PHP, which at this time is version 5.2.8. So we're going to double click on that and that'll start up the installation wizard. And if by chance you need to get yourself a copy of this installer, you can grab it from php.net. Alright, well our wizard's loaded, so we'll click Next. The first thing we'll need to do is accept the licensing terms by checking this box, and we'll click Next again. Now we'll need to decide where we're going to install PHP, and you can see that it does default to our C drive, program files, and then a folder called PHP, but you can certainly change that if you like, and in fact I am going to change that. I'm going to change mine just to go to a folder called PHP on the root of my C drive. But again, it's entirely up to you where you choose to install it. So we'll click Next. And then here we'll need to select our server type. So I'm going to choose IIS Fast CGI and we'll click Next again. And from here, we can then choose what items that we want to install. And by default, only the core PHP components are going to be installed, but you can elect to add in support for other file extensions and so forth. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to enable a couple of these file extensions, ones that I know that we'll be using in later videos. And if I happen to miss any, we can always come back later on, simply run through this wizard again and install any other ones we need. So I'm going to add in GD2 here. I'll also add in multi-byte string, mcrypt, and I'm going to add in MySQL as well. Okay, well that's all I can think of right now that I think we're going to need later on, so we'll just leave that as it is. We'll click Next, and then we'll click Installed. Alright, no need to pause the video, it's very quick to install PHP. You can see it's already finished, so we'll click Finish. And now we'll go and click on Start, and we'll open up Computer. We'll go to our C drive, then our PHP folder, and remember, in my case, I chose to install it here inside this PHP folder. If you left the defaults, then your PHP folder will in fact be living inside your program files folder. Alright, well in our PHP folder we go, and we're looking for this file here, php.ini. So we'll right click on that and we'll choose Edit, which will open it up in Notepad. So we'll hit Control F on the keyboard and that'll bring up our Find dialog window here, and I'm going to type Fast and hit Find Next. And if we scroll down a little bit, the line that we're looking for is this one here, Fast CGI impersonate equals 1. And we can see here that it's currently commented out as evidenced by this little semicolon here. So we're going to delete that semicolon and that'll enable this line. Now right above this line, we're also going to uncomment out this one, which is cgi.fixPathInfo equals 1, and we'll leave it set to 1. Now finally we're going to do a search for cgi.f for Fred, that is, and we'll hit Find Next. And down here we're looking for this line, CGI force redirect equals 0. Now if this line is commented out, you'll want to uncomment that by, of course, deleting any semicolon in front of that line. Now the other line we'll want to check for, we'll do a search for open_b, and we'll just scroll back up to the top of our document here and we'll do a search for that one. And we'll just scroll down here and we're looking for this line here, open base_dir, so we'll delete the semicolon from the front once more. And after the equals, we'll need to set the base directory to where our base IIS directory is. So I'm going to set this to c:\inetpub, and that's likely to be what you'll also choose, but it's worth pointing this out since you'll need to enter in the correct details for your own installation. Alright, well that's all the edits we need to do to our php.ini file. So up the top we're going to click File and then Save, and we can now close down Notepad. Now at this point, this is an optional step, but it is a good one nonetheless. It's to verify that PHP is working properly on your system. And this isn't testing PHP with IIS just yet. We just want to ensure that PHP itself is okay. So we can do that. We can go and open up a command prompt, and we'll head off to the folder where we installed PHP. In my case, of course, that's just simply PHP. And then we'll type in php-info, and I'll just move my cursor there so you can see what I've just typed, and we'll hit enter. And if you get back a long list of information about PHP and your system like I've just done, then that's a good sign that PHP itself is okay. Alright, now the final step in this effort to get PHP working with IIS is to configure IIS 7 itself to use PHP. So we'll need to open up our IIS 7 console. We'll click on Start, we'll go to Administrative Tools, and we'll launch the IIS 7 console. And we'll select our server, in my case that's SO5. And in the middle we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we'll double click on Handler Mappings. Now over here on the right, in our Actions pane, we're going to click on the Add Module Mapping link. And here we'll need to enter in some details about PHP on our system. So firstly, in the top field, the request path, we're going to type in an *.php. For the module, we'll select this drop-down window and we'll choose Fast CGI module. And here for the executable, we'll need to browse to or type in the path to our PHP executable file. So I'm going to click the browse icon here, and I'll go to my C drive, PHP, and then we'll need to select our PHP exe file. And if you don't see it here, you might need to choose the exe from this drop-down window here, and we're looking for this one, php cgi.exe. So we'll select that, we'll click Open, and in our final field we'll need to give this a name. Now you can pretty much call it whatever you like, but to make things easy to understand, we're going to call it PHP. Now we'll click on OK. We'll be asked, are we sure we want to create this module mapping? And of course we do, so we'll say yes. Now the final thing we need to do before we wrap up this video is to check that we do in fact have PHP working under IIS 7. So to do that, we'll need to throw a PHP file at IIS, and we don't currently have any, so why don't we create one? So we're going to open up a copy of Notepad, and we're going to do basically the same thing we did at the command prompt earlier, but this time we'll do it in a PHP file. And in case you're wondering how we do that, this is the exact syntax that we'll need to type in, and of course we'll need to save this as a PHP file. So we'll go to File, we'll choose Save As, and I'm going to save this inside my www root folder, of course, so that's on my C drive, inetpub, www root, and I'm going to give this file a name. We'll just call it test.php, and then we'll click Save. And then we'll go and open up Internet Explorer, and we'll navigate to our server here, which is so5/test.php, and we'll hit enter, and there's the result. So if you can see this page, then PHP is up and it's working on your server. So there you have PHP running under IIS 7. So we hope you've enjoyed this video, and would like to thank you for watching.